There was a maidservant who had cleverly trained a donkey to perform the services of a man. From a gourd, she had carved a flanged device to fit on the donkey's penis to keep him from going too far into her. She had fashioned it just to the point of her pleasure, and she greatly enjoyed the arrangement. As often as she could. She thrived. But the donkey was getting a little thin and tired looking. The mistress began to investigate. One day, she peeked through a crack in the door and saw the animal's marvelous member and the delight of the girl stretched under the donkey. She said nothing. Later, she knocked on the door and called the maid out on an errand. A long and complicated errand. I won't go into details. The servant knew what was happening, though. "Ah, my mistress," she thought to herself, "you should not send away the expert. When you begin to work without full knowledge, you risk your life. Your shame keeps you from asking me about the gourd, but you must have that to join with this donkey. There's a trick you don't know." But the woman was too fascinated with her idea to consider any danger. She led the donkey in and closed the door, thinking, "With no one around, I can shout in my pleasure." She was dizzy with anticipation, her vagina glowing and singing like a nightingale. She arranged the chair under the donkey, as she had seen the girl do. She raised her legs and pulled him into her. Her fire kindled more, and the donkey politely pushed as she urged him to, pushed through and into her intestines. And without a word, she died. The chair fell one way, and she the other. The room was smeared with blood. Reader, have you ever seen anyone martyred for a donkey? Remember what the Quran says about the torment of disgracing yourself. Don't sacrifice your life to your animal soul. If you die of what that leads you to do, you are just like this woman on the floor. She is an image of immoderation. Remember her and keep your balance. The maidservant returns and says, "Yes, you saw my pleasure, but you didn't see the gourd that put a limit on it." You opened your shop before a master taught you the craft. There was a feast. The king was heartily into his cups. He saw a learned scholar walking by. Bring him in and give him some of this fine wine. Servants rushed out and brought the man to the king's table, but he was not receptive. I had rather drink poison. I have never tasted wine and never will. Take it away from me. He kept on with these loud refusals, disturbing the atmosphere of the feast. This is how it sometimes is at God's table. Someone who has heard about ecstatic love but never tasted it, disrupts the banquet. If there were a secret passage from his ear to his throat, everything in him would change. Initiation would occur. As it is, he's all fire and no light, all husk and no kernel. The king gave orders. Cupbearer, do what you must. This is how your invisible guide acts, the chess champion across from you that always wins. He cuffed the scholar's head and said, Taste. And again. The cup was drained, and the intellectual started singing and telling ridiculous jokes. He joined the garden, snapping his fingers and swaying. Soon, of course, he had to pee. He went out, and there, near the latrine, was a beautiful woman, one of the king's harem. His mouth hung open. He wanted her. Right then he wanted her, and she was not unwilling. They fell to on the ground. You've seen a baker rolling dough. He kneads it gently at first, then more roughly. He pounds it on the board. It softly grows under his palms. Now he spreads it out and rolls it flat. Then he bunches it and rolls it all the way out again, thin. Now he adds water and mixes it well. Now salt and a little more salt. Now he shapes it delicately to its final shape and slides it into the oven, which is already hot. You remember bread making. This is how your desire tangles with a desired one. And it's not just a metaphor for a man and a woman making love. Warriors in battle do this too. A great mutual embrace is always happening between the eternal and what dies, between essence and accident. The sport has different rules in every case, but it's basically the same. And remember, the way you make love is the way God will be with you. So these two were lost in their sexual trance. They did not care any more about feasting or wine. Their eyes were closed like perfectly matching calligraphy lines. The king went looking for the scholar. When he saw them there coupled, commented, "Well, as it is said, a good king must serve his subjects from his own table. There is a joy, a wine-like freedom, that dissolves the mind and restores the spirit. And there is manly fortitude like the king's, a reasonableness that accepts the bewildered lostness. But meditate now on steadfastness and clarity, and let those be the wings that lift and soar through the celestial spheres."
honest shepherd, since you're poor, think of loving me no more. Take advice in time, give all your solicitations. Nature does in vain dispense to your virtue, courage, sense. Wealth can only influence a woman's inclinations. What fond nymph can e'er be kind to a swain but rich in mind, if as well she does not find gold within his coin?